co-founder of LikeFolio. Landon, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
All right, so we're talking Walmart. This stock's actually up 1% so far this month, basically flat on the year. It's come off its all-time highs, but are people using this as a safety play? Do you have the data that kind of backs up that, hey, maybe Walmart's going to be a beneficiary? Because even if we go into recession, people are still going to go to Walmart and maybe trade down. And if the economy's doing better and we don't go into recession, people will still be spending money, and they're spending it at Walmart, right?
Yeah, I like the win-win scenario for investors there. There's some truth to it. I mean, when you look at Walmart and maybe compare them to like a Target, there's a pretty big difference when it comes to exposure to both tariffs and just economy strength in general. Obviously, Walmart has the necessities as their focus for consumers, which, if times get tough, inflation or just a tough economy, then, they're going to benefit, obviously, as more customers are going to go for that as a higher percentage of sales. But they do have a lot more international business. I think about a third of their sales come from orders from other countries, whereas Target is, it's all U.S. or a lot more U.S. and it doesn't have any, it doesn't have the near exposure that Walmart does. So, I think that's a big factor in weighing those. And you can kind of see how the stocks have behaved over the last month or so. Both of them obviously are down since their last earnings report and since all this tariff talk. Yesterday was fun too. But if you look at Walmart overall, last quarter, they did great. They beat revenue, they beat earnings. They sold off from, I think, 104 down to 96, now we're down to about 88, 89, somewhere in there. Their U.S. sales were up 5%, international down about 0.7%. But what's interesting to us is that their e-commerce, so if you look at their web visits, it was up about 14% on a year-over-year basis, and that fell right in line with what they reported at 16%, plus 16% year-over-year on their e-commerce business. So we're tracking that really well, and you can see that Walmart and Target are both positioning themselves to start to take little bites out of Amazon. Now, look, Amazon is still flat. It's not a negative number. But the fact that they're growing just shows that more and more people are getting comfortable shopping other places other than Amazon, and that that basic monopoly is starting to fade just a little bit. One of those, I think, reasons is that they, over the next year or so, they expect to get to the point, Walmart expects to get to the point where anyone who places an order in the U.S., or 95% of households, I should say, can expect delivery within 3 hours. That's incredible. We can remember when Amazon was 2-week guaranteed, and then they got the 2-day guarantee with Prime, and that was unbelievable. 3 hours is just nuts. So I think Walmart, because of its locations, and we've talked about this before, just consider each one of its stores a distribution center. And you can really see how they can dominate delivery and dominate web business. So they're well positioned, I think, to weather this. And, depending on where their stock goes, they could start to be kind of an attractive buy, and maybe they're a little bit oversold. They did talk about how they think that, the consumers who are becoming price sensitive, if tariffs do, continue to go up and pinch people at the register, they're going to go to Walmart because that's where people know that the low prices are. Walmart focuses on necessities, whereas Target is more discretionary spending. So they're positioned, I think, like you said, to kind of in a win-win scenario. And I guess we're just going to have to see what happens over the next, I'd say week or two, but it might be today. You never know what tweets are coming out and what might move the market. I like where Walmart's positioned here. I do think it's a bit of a win-win. Either way, because they have both options available to them, and the stock is starting to get to that point where you're like, all right, we're in a good buy situation here.
Landon, last quarter was pretty significant in terms of earnings because that's the first time that Amazon overtook Walmart in terms of revenue for the month of $187 billion. Beat Walmart. I think Walmart came in around 180, but Walmart has the grocery moat, right? They are now the leader in grocery, and that brings in cash flow, and that brings in, all the other things that make them, that really Amazon can't compete. Amazon competes very well just about everywhere else, but it's that, you mentioned it, it's automation and e-commerce that keeps them competing because people that can shop at Walmart without going to Walmart are the new customers that are helping them grow, and they just keep doing it right. It's amazing the size of this company, how they still act like a lean, agile, smaller company and move around and change things. But I think we're down to 2 players. You mentioned Target. Boy, I don't know. Target keeps disappointing. I know you guys have been positive on Target in the past. They just don't show up. The numbers aren't there, Landon. But Target with grocery, Amazon with everything else in e-commerce, these are the 2 major players going forward.
Yeah, Walmart with grocery, I agree. And I tell you what, Target for the longest time for LikeFolio data was strong, very strong, always rallying. And then 2 or 3 years ago, I can't remember when the year was, but they got themselves into a little bit of a trouble, getting politically involved, and it's just a no-no with customers. Customers will always assume that you as a business agree with them as long as you don't say anything. So just don't say anything. And Target kind of put their foot in their mouths with politics, and then from then on it was just kind of an open door for that argument of, well, yeah, Target's nicer and everything, but maybe I will go to Walmart. And now, just like you said, if you can buy from Walmart without going to Walmart, what a win. So you got either that kind of customer, you can buy from Walmart without going there and get it within 3 hours, and it's probably cheaper than at Target, and it's delivered to you. Or if you need something and you want groceries as well, there you go. I mean, and they're all over the place. Everyone lives close to a Walmart, so their footprint is their biggest advantage. And as we're seeing, their web is growing, and yes, Amazon is dominant. They're passing them in revenue. They're huge, but Walmart has a lot of defensible moats here. I think the grocery, like you pointed out, is enormous, and then just the footprint, the amount of stores that they have close to the population. Everyone is near Walmart. Those are all either quick stops for people, or you need groceries, or you got the quick delivery. And Amazon, for all the we can rewind time 10 years or so, and Whole Foods was going to take over the world because of that acquisition. It really comes down to number of stores, and it just they're not even in the conversation anymore. So it's interesting to see what happens when a huge company like Amazon tries to compete in these other areas. You always assume they're going to beat the competition, but in the end, it's really who executes better and who's got the size. In this situation with grocery, there's no contest. And again, I liked Walmart yesterday at 82 better than I do now at 89. But it's going to move around a lot. And I like investing in it here. I like trading in it here. But of course, if you trade it, you got to be risk defined with what's going on now. So I'm sure you got a cool trade loaded up for us, Kevin. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
All right, great stuff. Great data as always, Landon. Pretty positive on Walmart, and I think a lot of people are. Citi named it its our top pick today, this morning. All right, great stuff. Thanks, Landon.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Landon Swan, co-founder of LikeFolio, breaking it down for us. Kevin, they had their investor day yesterday, Q1. They said in line for their out.